All right, in this video, we're going to talk about Coding Lab 4. In Coding Lab 4, the problem says the four-pointed star, that's this figure up here, can be viewed as a square eclipsed by four circles. All right, and so I've drawn a little diagram of what that would look like. And starting here, you can see that here's the four-pointed star that they're talking about. And the square that they're referring to is this square right here. So if you make this little square out of, say, the tips of the four-pointed star, that's what you would get. And then the circles are these circles right here. All right, so you can see if you took and drew these circles and then cut with some scissors right along that square, along those edges, it would cut the four-pointed star out of the square. Okay, so that's kind of what they're talking about. To find the area of this four-pointed star, basically I find the area of a square and then I subtract the area of one of these circles. And now that might seem slightly sketchy to you, because and one of the confusing things about this is it's not this square that they're talking about. Okay, in the statement of the problem, they say let R be the radius of the circles, or a half of the side of the square. So it's not really accurate that this square, right, the radius or the length of this side of the square, right, is not what they're talking about here. Here, the radius, right, of these circles is clearly 5, right? If you go to one of the centers of these circles, the radius is 5, and the length of this square is 5 times the square root of 2, right? And so it's not really half. But the thing is that that statement is true in the sense that to make the calculation for this, right, the formula is right here. You're going to take the area of a square with radius 2r, so twice the radius of the circles, all right, and then minus the area of the circle with radius r. Okay, so that is the correct formula that you should be using in here. So if you try to read through this, it's not so clear as to what formula that they're asking you to use. Okay, so but this over here makes it very clear, right? Or hopefully it does, right? Makes it clear that what formula that you should use. All right, you're going to be asking the user to enter the radius of the circle. So what you would do is find the area of a square with radius 2 times the radius. It's not this square that I'm showing you that they mentioned in the first sentence, but it would be a square nonetheless. And then you would subtract off the area of one of these circles. Okay. So again, I don't want to go too much into the story of where that comes up. Just know that you can use that formula. If you're really interested, then you can let me know, and I'll be glad to explain it. Make another video going into detail on the math of how this works. Okay. All right. And if you go down here to area, you can see this is the math formula for the area. And this, don't worry about the math on this. If you haven't taken Calculus 1, then you won't know what that means. But this is the regular area right here. So here you can see I've got the area of a square with side length 2 times a. And in this case, I had to use a as the radius here. So, and here's the area of a circle with radius a. All right. So anyway, this is all you really need to know, this thing right here about what the formula is. Okay. If you have any questions, then let me know on that. Now, going back to the problem statement, it says implement a class with stub methods: main, square area, circle area, get radius, and print area. So what you're going to have are those 4 methods in here. I already have a main method in here. That's the same every single time, but you're going to have to go and add these methods in here. And now I'm not going to show you every little detail about how this goes, because that's part of the problem that you have to figure out yourself. But you're going to have methods in here that look like this. One called print area, one called get radius, And where I have those X's, you're going to have to decide what goes there. And then I think, what are the other ones called? Circle area and square area. Okay, so you'll have these, that's what they're talking about, stub methods. Again, you're going to have to decide what these are going to be, right? These are the return types, right? So you're going to decide, okay, that's string or double or int, or actually in this it's string, well, any of those types it could be. I don't want to give too much away. In here, right, then you're going to have to put the parameter lists in here, if any. These could be blank as well, okay? But that's what they're talking about in part 1. Next to it says implement the main method by calling other methods. So that means that in the main method, you should only have method calls in here. No other statements in there. I will take off points if you have other methods in there. So basically the only things that are in here are method calls to these other methods. These methods, print area, get radius, circle area, and square area, should be doing all of the work. The only thing that the main method really should be doing here is getting the action started and calling one of these methods. In fact, in my when I saw this out, I had one statement, one method call, and that was it. The rest of the work I did down here. All right, so I'm not saying you have to do it with only one, but I am saying that you should only have method calls in here. That's it. Okay, nothing else. All right, and then each of these 4 methods are really not too difficult at all. They basically all have one job, as methods should have, right? And so the one job of this print area method is to print the results, which is the area, to the user. That's it. So there's just a print statement in there. Okay, print out the results. This method, all its job is get input from the user. That's it. So you're going to have to tell the user to prompt the user, right, and get a scanner object and get input. But that's it. It does nothing else, okay? And then this method, these two are extremely simple, right? This one just calculates and returns the area of a circle, okay? That's it. So if you see, look at what it says here on number 4, it says method to return the area of a circle, and that is it. So that one is a very, very simple method. It's basically you just use the formula, right, for the area of a circle. And then here, this calculates and returns the area of a square, and that's it. Okay. So again, these two are extremely simple. And before I forget, let's see, the area, right, of a circle, if you forget that. So the area of a square is a equals s squared, right, where s is the side length of the square, like here. And then the area of a circle is a equals pi r squared, right, where r is the radius. All right, so this area of a square method, basically it's just this formula, same thing on this one, that's it. But you got to make sure that you return it. All right, and then, so they have very simple. So each of these pieces in here are really not that complicated. Here you're printing, here you're getting input. We've done both of those things before. Here you've got some formula, here you've got some formula. The part about this assignment that you will need to figure out, besides what I've shown you here, is that these methods are all going to have to work together, right? So, and they're going to have to pass information back and forth from one another, okay? And so how do you do that? Well, you do that through the parameter list, right? The things that the method needs to do are going to go inside here, okay? One way or the other. So for instance, in the circle area, right, the area is the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. So obviously you're going to need the radius for the circle area part. For the square area part, you're going to need the side length of a square, right? So there's going to be some inputs. And then it passes back these, once a method is called, right, it passes back information through the return statement, right? And so you're going to have to decide on the return types, and then you're going to have some return statements in some of these methods, okay? All right, so that is a general overview of this lab, and just to reiterate about the formula that you need, the geometric formula for the four-pointed star. The only tricky thing is you're going to get the radius from the user, right? And so that's going to be the radius. When you go to calculate the area of the square, it's not the area of this square, right? It's the area of square with twice the radius. So that would look like, that would be a bigger circle, and I probably should have drawn it in this figure so you could have seen it, but the main thing to remember is it's this formula that computes the area of the star. All right, so that's it on this one.